Are you ready to pass your Azure DevOps certification on the first attempt? Most candidates fail because they understand the tools but don't know how to apply them in complex, real-world scenarios. In this video, we will cover Azure DevOps certification practice questions and answers full course. Master the Azure DevOps Engineer Expert certification with these 30 comprehensive practice questions. In this video, we are diving deep into 30 high-yield practice questions covering Azure boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. We will break down the why behind every correct answer. Before we begin, make sure to grab a pen and paper to track your score. Let's see how many you can get right. Your team is using Azure Monitor to track application performance. You need to ensure that specific custom events are captured from your Python application. Which component should you integrate into your code? Option A, Log Analytics Agent. Option B, Application Insights SDK. Option C, Azure Diagnostics Extension. Option D, Azure Network Watcher. The correct answer is B. Application Insights is an extensible application performance management (APM) service for developers and DevOps professionals. By using the Application Insights SDK in your code, supporting Python, .NET, Java, and Node.js, you can send custom telemetry, events, and metrics directly to the Azure portal. The Log Analytics Agent is more for VM-level logs, and the Diagnostics extension is for infrastructure metrics, not application-level custom events. To satisfy SRE principles, you want to implement an error budget. What does an error budget represent in an Azure DevOps environment? Option A, the financial cost of a system outage. Option B, the amount of manual labor allowed for a project. Option C, the difference between 100% uptime and the service level objective. Slow. Option D, the maximum number of bugs allowed in a sprint. The correct answer is C. In SRE, the error budget is calculated as 1 minus the SLO. If your SLO is 99.9%, your error budget is 0.1%. It represents the amount of downtime or unreliability a service can tolerate. If the budget is exhausted, the team usually stops all new feature releases to focus on reliability. This aligns development and operations by providing a mathematical threshold for risk. You need to store sensitive database connection strings for use in an Azure DevOps pipeline. What is the most secure method to manage these? Option A, store them as plaintext in the YAML file. Option B, use Azure Key Vault and link it to a variable group. Option C, upload a .env file to the Azure repo. Option D, hardcode the values in the build script. The correct answer is B. The most secure and recommended approach is to use Azure Key Vault to store secrets and then link that key vault to an Azure DevOps variable group. This allows the pipeline to fetch secrets at runtime without them being exposed in source control or logs. Plaintext or .env files in repos are major security vulnerabilities. You are using Git in Azure Repos. You need to combine multiple commits into a single commit before merging a branch to keep the history clean. Which command or action should you use? Option A, git rebase. Option B, git squash merge. Option C, git cherrypick. Option D, git fetch. The correct answer is B. A squash merge allows you to condense all the commits from a source branch into a single commit on the target branch. This is ideal for feature branches where many work-in-progress commits were made, ensuring the main branch history remains concise and readable. Rebase moves the commits but doesn't necessarily combine them unless interactive rebase is used. Which Azure Boards tool is best suited for visualizing work flowing through stages like to do, doing, and done? Option A, backlogs. Option B, sprints. Option C, Kanban boards. Option D, delivery plans. The correct answer is C. Kanban boards are specifically designed for visualizing the flow of work. They use columns to represent stages of a process and cards to represent work items, allowing teams to see bottlenecks and manage work in progress. WIP. Backlogs are more for prioritization list view, and sprints are for time-boxed planning. Your build pipeline requires a specific version of the .NET Core SDK. How should you ensure the build agent has this version available without manually installing it on the agent? Option A. Use the Use.NET Core task in the pipeline. Option B. Install it via a PowerShell script in every build. Option C. Use a self-hosted agent only. Option D. Add the SDK to the Git repository. The correct answer is A. The Use.NET Core, or similar tool installer tasks, is the best practice. It checks the agent for the specific version and downloads, installs it if it's missing. This ensures your pipeline is portable and can run on Microsoft-hosted agents without manual intervention or bloating your source repository. You want to implement a deployment strategy where you shift traffic to a new version of your app in small increments, e.g., 10%, then 20%. What is this called? Option A, blue-green deployment. Option B, canary deployment. Option C, recreate deployment. Option D, rolling update. The correct answer is B. A canary deployment involves rolling out a new version of an application to a small subset of users before making it available to everyone. This allows for monitoring the new version's health in production with minimal impact if something goes wrong. Blue-green involves switching 100% of traffic from one environment to another. What tool can be integrated into Azure DevOps pipelines to perform static application security testing, SAST, and identify vulnerabilities in source code? Option A, Sonar Cloud. Option B, Azure Bastion. Option C, Azure Firewall. Option D, OWASP Zap. The correct answer is A. Sonar Cloud, or Sonar Cube, is a popular SAST tool that integrates into the C pipeline to scan code for bugs, vulnerabilities, and code smells. Azure Bastion and Firewall are network security tools, and OWASP Zap is primarily used for DAST, dynamic testing, rather than static code analysis. You have a large repository and want to ensure that developers cannot push code directly to the MON branch without a code review. What should you implement? Option A, branch policies. Option B, commit hooks. Option C, RBAC roles. Option D, security groups. The correct answer is A. Branch policies in Azure Repos allow you to enforce requirements before a pull request can be merged. This includes requiring a minimum number of reviewers, checking for build success, or requiring all comments to be resolved. This is the primary mechanism for maintaining code quality and security. In a YAML pipeline, which keyword is used to define that a job should only run if the previous job in a different stage succeeded? Option A, depends on. Option B, condition. Option C, trigger. Option D, pool. The correct answer is A. The depends on keyword defines dependencies between jobs or stages. By default, stages run sequentially, but within a stage, jobs run in parallel unless depends on is specified. To make a job wait for another, you list the dependency job's name in this field. You need to store large binary assets in Git but want to avoid bloating the repository size. Which technology should you use? Option A, Git LFS. Option B, Git submodules. Option C, Azure Artifacts. Option D, Azure Blob Storage. The correct answer is A. Git Large File Storage. LFS replaces large files with text pointers inside Git, while storing the file contents on a remote server. This keeps the Git repository lightweight and fast to clone, while Azure Artifacts is for packages. NuGet npm. LFS is specifically for handling large files within the Git workflow. Your application is experiencing high latency. You need to visualize the end-to-end journey of a request across multiple microservices. Which tool should you use? Option A, Azure Log Analytics. Option B, Application Insights Application Map. Option C, Azure Service Health. Option D, Azure Advisor. The correct answer is B. The application map in Application Insights provides a visual representation of your application's components and their dependencies. It shows health, performance, and latency metrics across different services, making it easy to identify which microservice is the bottleneck in a distributed system. You are designing a release pipeline for an Azure app service. You want to test the new code in a production-like environment before swapping it to live traffic. What should you use? Option A, deployment slots. Option B, app service plans. Option C, Azure functions. Option D, traffic manager. The correct answer is A. Deployment slots are live apps with their own host names. You can deploy to a staging slot, perform tests, and then perform a swap. This ensures zero downtime deployments and allows for easy rollbacks if the staging slot behaves unexpectedly after the swap. What is the primary benefit of using multi-stage YAML pipelines over classic release pipelines? Option A, version control for the pipeline definition. Option B, better GUI for drag and drop. Option C, it is cheaper to run. Option D, it does not require build agents. The correct answer is A. Because YAML pipelines are stored as code in your Git repository, they benefit from version control. You can see who changed the pipeline, revert to previous versions, and use pull requests to review pipeline changes just like application code. This is a core pipeline as code principle. When using Git, Which file is used to specify which files and directories should be excluded from being tracked by the repository? Option A, git config. Option B, git ignore. Option C, git attributes. Option D, git exclude. The correct answer is B. The git ignore file tells Git which files, like build artifacts, node_modules, or local secrets, to ignore. This prevents unnecessary or sensitive files from being committed to the central repository. You want to run a set of unit tests every time a developer pushes code. If the tests fail, the build should fail. Where do you configure this? Option A, Azure Test Plans. Option B, the build pipeline YAML file. Option C, Azure Monitor. Option D, Azure Artifacts. The correct answer is B. Automated unit tests are typically executed as a task within the cbuild pipeline, using tasks like .NET Core CLI or Maven. If the test execution returns a non-zero exit code failure, the pipeline step fails, and the build is marked as failed, providing immediate feedback to the developer. Which metric specifically measures the average time it takes to repair a failed component or service? Option A, MTBF, mean time between failures. Option B, MTTR, mean time to repair. Option C, MTTD, mean time to detect. Option D, SLA, service level agreement. The correct answer is B. MTTR is a key SRE metric that measures the speed of recovery after a failure. A lower MTTR indicates a more resilient and efficient operations team. MTTD measures how long it takes to notice an issue, while MTBF measures the time between separate failure events. You need to ensure that your Docker images stored in Azure Container Registry (ACR) are scanned for known vulnerabilities. Which service provides this integration? Option A, Azure Defender for Cloud. Option B, Azure Policy. Option C, Azure Active Directory. Option D, Azure Sentinel. The correct answer is A. Azure Defender for Cloud, formerly Azure Security Center, integrates with Azure Container Registry to provide vulnerability scanning for images. It identifies security weaknesses in the OS packages and application dependencies within the container. In Azure pipelines, what is used to share variables and secrets across multiple pipelines in the same project? Option A, variable groups. Option B, environment variables. Option C, parameters. Option D, output variables. The correct answer is A. Variable groups are defined in the Library section of Azure Pipelines. They allow you to centralize configuration and secrets, making them reusable across different build and release pipelines, which simplifies management for large projects. What is the primary difference between a fork and a branch in Git-based Azure repos? Option A, forks are only for SVN. Option B, a fork is a complete copy of a repository, usually in a different user org account. Option C, a branch is a complete copy of the database. Option D, forks cannot be merged back to the original. The correct answer is B. A branch exists within a single repository. A fork is a complete copy of the repository, including all branches, that exists under a different account or namespace. Forks are commonly used in open source projects to allow contributors to work independently before submitting a pull request to the original repository. You want to trigger a pipeline only when changes are made to the SRC folder of your repository. Which YAML feature do you use? Option A, path filters. Option B, branch triggers. Option C, cron schedules. Option D, batching. The correct answer is A. In the YAML trigger section, you can use paths to include or exclude specific directories. By specifying include src single quote, the pipeline will only start if a file within that folder is modified, saving build minutes and reducing noise. What does toil refer to in the context of SRE? Option A, creative engineering work. Option B, repetitive, manual, tactical work with no long-term value. Option C, the cost of Azure licenses. Option D, the time spent in meetings. The correct answer is B. Toil is work that is manual, repetitive, automatable, and scales linearly with the size of the service. SREs aim to minimize toil, usually to less than 50% of their time, to focus on engineering projects that improve system reliability and scale. Which Azure tool allows you to aggregate and analyze log data from various sources using Custo query language? KQL. Option A, Azure SQL Database. Option B, Log Analytics Workspace. Option C, Azure Storage Explorer. Option D, Azure Data Factory. The correct answer is B. Log Analytics Workspace is the central repository for log data in Azure. It uses KQL, a powerful query language, to sift through millions of records from VMs, containers, and applications to find specific trends or issues. You need to ensure that a release to production only happens after a senior manager manually approves it. What should you configure in the environment? Option A, pre-deployment approvals. Option B, gated commits. Option C, post-deployment gates. Option D, variable triggers. The correct answer is A. In Azure pipelines, specifically within environments or classic release stages, you can set approvals and checks. Pre-deployment approvals pause the pipeline until a designated person or group manually signs off on the release. Which task would you use in an Azure pipeline to package a Node.js application into a format that can be stored in Azure artifacts? Option A, npm pack. Option B, NuGet push. Option C, Docker build. Option D, .NET publish. The correct answer is A. For Node.js projects, npm pack creates a tarball.tgz file, which is the standard package format for npm. This package can then be published to an Azure Artifacts feed using the npm push command. You want to automatically prevent a build from finishing if it contains open source libraries with critical security vulnerabilities. Which tool should you use? Option A, White Source Bolt, Mend. Option B, Azure Key Vault. Option C, Azure Policy. Option D, Git Secrets. The correct answer is A. White Source Bolt, now known as MEND, is a software composition analysis (SCA) tool that integrates with Azure DevOps. It scans your dependencies, npm, NuGet, etc., for known vulnerabilities and license compliance issues, allowing you to break the build if a threshold is exceeded. In Git, what is a head? Option A, the very first commit of a project. Option B, a reference to the most recent commit in the current branch. Option C, the main server hosting the code. Option D, the person in charge of the repository. The correct answer is B. Head is a pointer that Git uses to keep track of where you are currently in your repository. It usually points to the latest commit on the branch that is currently checked out. What is the purpose of a post-mortem in SRE? Option A, to assign blame to the person who caused the outage. Option B, to document the incident and identify root causes to prevent recurrence. Option C, to calculate the final cost of an outage. Option D, to delete the failed resources. The correct answer is B. A key SRE practice is the blameless postmortem. It focuses on understanding the systemic reasons for a failure rather than blaming individuals. The goal is to create action items that improve the system's resilience for the future. You are using Terraform for infrastructure as code. Where should the state file be stored for a team environment? Option A, on the developer's local machine. Option B, in the Git repository. Option C, in a remote backend like Azure Blob Storage with locking. Option D, it should not be stored anywhere. The correct answer is C. Storing Terraform state files in a remote backend, like Azure Blob Storage, is critical for teams. It allows for a single source of truth and supports state locking via a separate table or native blob functionality to prevent multiple users from modifying infrastructure simultaneously, which could lead to corruption. Which Azure service provides a central place to view the health of all Azure services across all regions? Option A, Azure Service Health. Option B, Application Insights. Option C, Log Analytics. Option D, Azure Sentinel. The correct answer is A. Azure Service Health notifies you about Azure service incidents and planned maintenance. It provides a personalized dashboard showing the status of the specific services and regions you use, helping you distinguish between an issue in your code and an issue with the Azure platform itself. That concludes our 30-question deep dive into Azure DevOps tools and strategies. I hope this helped you identify your strengths and areas for further study. If you found this valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe for more cloud certification content. Don't forget to check your total score in the comments. For a complete set of over 300 practice questions with updated labs, check out the full exam link in the description below.